Hey, my loves, it's Diane Armitage with Best of Laguna Beach back again at the mighty, mighty KXFM 104.7 Community Radio. And what an honor it is to be here with Laguna's only radio station that's also streaming around the world. You can always check in at our website, kxfmradio.org, or download the KXFM radio app at Google Play or the App Store. Now, here on Best of Laguna Beach, you're hearing my honest, completely objective perspective from a 25-year resident as I talk about the best food and events and cocktails and chefs and interview all these amazing people in and around our magical vortex town of Laguna Beach. This radio show is also a podcast beamed around the world, and now it is also on my YouTube channel. And you can see this video of this interview. So just look up Best of Laguna Beach on any of those platforms, including YouTube. And you can also receive each week's audio replay every Wednesday when you subscribe for free to my bestoflagunabeach.com website. Articles, news. Okay, so today I am welcoming John Ufland, and he is a veteran of the entertainment industry with a truly diverse background that spans film production, talent representation, content development. And he began his career on films like War Games, one of my favorites, Bachelor Party, Tom Hanks, and The Terminator before moving into talent representation. And eventually he started his own company there called Premier Artist Agency. Now, I could talk all day about War Games and The Terminator because they're still two of my most favorite movies of all time. But today we're going to be talking about John's new trajectory, which has a lot to do with Laguna Beach, and it's also a favorite of mine, wine. So, John, welcome aboard. How are you today?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the intro.
Yeah, it's great having you here. Now, before we get into the wine, I want to mention how I first met you, because I'm good friends with Ruben Flores, as many of you know. He comes on my radio show a lot. And his partner is Nelson Coates, who many of you know, and he has been a production designer for years for some of the top Hollywood films of all time. And so how did you meet Nelson, John?
Nelson and I met doing a remake of my client's film, which won the Oscar for Best Foreign Language Film, a movie called Secret in Their Eyes. Nelson was a production designer on the movie, and we just hit it off, became friends. I was just blown away by, I just call him a magician because that's truly what he is. He makes things out of nothing, and it's a pleasure to watch him work and his enthusiasm for the work that he does and the people that he works with.
He is amazing. So for those of you who haven't seen Secret in Their Eyes, it was a remake from the foreign film, and it starred Julia Roberts and Nicole Kidman. And who were the other actors that were in there?
Chiwetel Ejiofor.
Oh, right. Yeah. And I remember Nelson saying that one of the things he had to do with Julia Roberts was because she has such lively dancing eyes that they had to create contacts to sort of deaden her eyes because she was going through a very traumatic personal experience in the entire movie. And she was part of a team of sort of like detectives, right?
Yeah.
And then this terrible thing happened in her life, and they kind of ended up sort of going their separate ways. And he had to put contacts in her eyes to deaden her eyes so that she didn't have that lively spark.
Yeah.
And I think, isn't that amazing? I mean, these are kind of the details that Nelson notices that, just floor me, absolutely floor me. So how many years ago was Secret in Their Eyes?
Oh my God. Feels like it was 10 years ago, I think.
It was about 10 years.
Almost 10 years.
Yeah. Okay. So now you're still in the entertainment industry. You're still doing stuff.
As much as there is entertainment to be done.
It's a strange time right now. It's a strange time. And so now this is a perfect time to get into your hobby, which I think is going to become quite a large hobby for you. And so we're talking about wine today, everybody. John, I want you to talk about this company that you've now founded, and then we'll backtrack a little bit into the history of how you even got into this in the first place. So let's talk about a second pour.
Okay.
Okay. So how did you come up with this idea of a second pour? And you've just put the website up recently, right?
Yeah. The website's been up for a couple of weeks.
Oh, that's wow. Okay. So
it's really fresh.
They're in virgin territory, folks. This is awesome. Okay. So what is a second pour about?
So this is a way to bring people together, showcase some amazing winemakers that I've become friends with and have been to their places, and just become a huge fan of who they are and what they do, and the message that's behind the bottle is really important. You can walk into any liquor store or grocery store and just pull a bottle off a shelf and not really know what you're drinking or how it's made or the story behind it. And I was just fascinated with really learning more about the winemakers. And this whole second pour just sort of came from that, which was partially me arranging trips for friends and with friends. We've done a bunch of wine trips, and they're like, "You've done this so well, you should do this because other people would really appreciate this." And that's really how it started. I was like, okay, I'll give it a go.
I know, but it's fantastic because this is the thing that I love about wine is the backstories. The backstories are what make the wine. And it's what makes the whole story happen. In fact, how they even ended up in the vineyards that they ended up in and how they moved from other careers into what they did, because it's usually what happens. It's not like they grew up in the industry. Sometimes they do, but they find this love for wine and then they began to create from that point forward. And it's so interesting talking to all of these people. It's incredible. So when you first got into traveling to wine countries, doing your thing with wine country, going to the tasting rooms, how many years ago was that with you and your wife, I would assume, because you guys have been doing this for a long time?
So the very first wine trip that we did, my wife took me as a surprise on my 50th birthday. We went up to Santa Ynez, and this was my first real experience in wine country, and I just loved it. And coincidentally, one of the stops along the way was Diane, who was the founder and winemaker at Artiste. And I loved everything that Artiste had to say. I mean, he blends his wines with artwork. The artwork is on the front of the bottle. And I became a wine club member. And that's how I really started getting into wine and the whole winemaker experience.
Well, what I love about Bion, because I've had the privilege of meeting him too through you, because I met you through Nelson, who I met through Ruben.
A lot of connective tissue.
What is so great about it is that, you know, he commissions the art, and I've talked about this on the radio show before. He commissions the art, and these beautiful artists do these beautiful paintings, and then he takes the painting and makes the wine to suit the painting instead of the other way around. And
Yep.
I absolutely love that kind of creativity because he has so many, I would say, varietals, so many combinations, and they all reflect the mood of the painting. And I thought that was incredible. I've never even heard of anyone doing that before.
Yeah, no, it's pretty innovative. He's been doing it for quite a while. He's actually, I think, third generation winemaker. His family goes back way, way, way back.
Yeah.
And the wines change quarterly, and he gets inspiration through the artwork and through the connection with the artist, and then he decides what that blend is going to be. You know, pairing the blend with the work.
It's incredible. It really is. We had him here in Laguna Beach, thanks to you introducing him to our town. And I hope some of my listeners who are listening today were actually at the event. I know that several of my listeners were there, and it was fantastic. It was we had it at the Mozambique Parrot Room, so the lower level of the Mozambique, and we filled that room. And it was fantastic. We had all these different tasting sections, and it was just phenomenal. He was a very gracious give on his part. And it was really, I really hope that we can get him back into this town. I know a lot of his interest has to do with the artist colony of Laguna Beach and actually sourcing some art for his wine bottles from the Laguna artists. And I really hope that we can continue to support him on that. It's going to be huge. It's huge.
Yeah, no, we're definitely, thinking about, planning for next year as to when that's going to happen. And we just got confirmation today that we are collaborating with LCAD, Laguna College Art and Design, which Nelson made the connection. And so we're going to be working with some of their students, and some of their students are going to be able to put their work on the bottles. And they're actually going to learn the business of art as opposed to just the art of art.
And that is a great thing to teach students who are in art school.
All of the professors this is great because all these kids need to learn how they can be in business, and they are basically in business for themselves. So this is going to be a good entree into that world. And again, it's very innovative, and we're very excited about, the prospect and working with LCAT and their students.
Well, that's really awesome. Well, I'll be happy to promote that along as we get that going. But so So you started when you turned 50 for the most part, and you fell in love kind of head over heels on this whole thing.
Yeah.
And you started then expanding to different tastings, I know, up and down the California coast. And haven't you also gone over to Europe now and done quite a bit over there as well?
Just a little bit. We actually were in Champagne last October,
Mhm.
which was amazing. We've done wine trips to Valle de Guadalupe in Mexico, which was absolutely stunning and gorgeous. And I can't wait to go back there. We've done a trip up to Willamette.
I love
And
Willamette.
I know the Pinots are amazing and the people and the food and everything up there. It's just so spectacular.
Yeah, it is.
Santa Ynez and Paso are, I spend more time in Santa Ynez because it's just close. Love them all, and they all have great things to offer, both from wine and food and places to stay and things to do.
Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about these events that you started organizing for your friends. My first question, of course, is why wasn't I invited? Because I mean, we've been
Whoops.
friends for like 3 months. How often would you do these wine tasting trips with your friends?
Once or twice a year.
And
Depends
you'd
on
organize.
everybody's schedules. We try to coordinate. There's basically three couples that do these trips together.
And so you would organize where you're going to each of the tastings. And would you organize which region you were going to as well? You'd be like, okay, this time we're going to go to Paso. This time we're going to go to Willamette.
Yeah, I mean, a version of this. The six of us have gone to San Miguel, Paso, Santa Ynez, Willamette. And now we're figuring out. Oh, and Napa.
Oh, of course, Napa.
Yeah.
Well, and for you listeners out there, you may not know that I own a house in Willamette Valley. I actually own it in Dundee. So I purposely put the house there because it's at the gateway of what is considered wine country. And some of the strongest wines from Oregon, the great Pinots, are coming out of the Dundee Hills. And so where my house is in Dundee, uh, it I think there's 84 or 85 tasting rooms within 5 miles. It's huge. It's just blown up there. It's unbelievable.
And the quality is, I mean, second to none. I mean, the Pinots are just fantastic.
Fantastic. I don't even know how you narrow it down for all of your friends when you're doing these tours. But now you're taking it a step further and you're offering these tours to the public. So you're actually opening the doors to more than just those three lucky couples.
Yeah.
So they told you, they were like, okay, well, you should be doing this because you're so good at it. And then you're like, okay, well, I might as well. And that's kind of how you put it together.
More or less, yeah. I mean, sort of back up a little bit. I mean, I started developing a travelogue show during the writers and actors strike about female winemakers and distillers. And through the various different channels of meeting people, I thought, oh my God, there's just such an amazing group of people here that are really, really talented. And I thought, how can I shine a light on what they do? And so the first thing I started doing was talking to restaurants in the area that I'm friendly with and pitching the idea of doing a series of winemaker dinners. And we've done 5 of them so far at 2 different
Okay.
restaurants that went off amazingly well. And the winemakers love it. The restaurants love it. We all sort of collaborate and cross promote it and everything like that. And we're working on a couple down that way. I hope to have one in Solana Beach in the spring,
Mm-hmm.
and hopefully in Newport sometime also, I would say in the spring.
Yeah.
And then there's another one in New York that we're working on, which will also probably be in the spring.
New York. Nice. You're going to have a busy spring. And I know that you and I have been talking about bringing something into Laguna Beach as well. So for those of you listeners, who, of course, I would want you to travel to whatever John is setting up because this guy it just is impeccable who he chooses. But I hope that we will get to have a winemaker here in Laguna Beach as well. So everything is in the spring. That's kind of funny. But don't you have a trip coming up soon?
Yeah. So the first one right now is scheduled for November 4th through the 7th in Santa
Okay.
Ynez.
Okay.
We are going to be at 4 different wineries: Carhart, Clementine Carter, Dragonette, and Artiste. And then we're also doing an olive oil tasting at Olive and Lavender, which is also up in Santa Ynez.
I love that. I love Live and Lavender. They're amazing. Wow.
Great
Okay.
spot.
So tell me just quickly of the 4 that you just mentioned, give me one thing that you love the most about what each of them is doing in each of those 4.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of similarities. I mean, they're all amazing people, first of all. I mean, I've spent a lot of time getting to know most of them over the last number of years. The Carhart family, their ranch is beautiful. So we're going to be doing a private tasting and barrel tasting and a vineyard tour at the Carhart Ranch, which will be accompanied by lunch. So Chase Carhart, who's the winemaker, and his mom, Brooke, will be involved in that tasting. We will be doing one at Art, which will be a blending session that Diane is going to lead. And everybody gets to blend their own wine, and they will walk away with a bottle of their blend.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool.
So that's really cool. The Dragonette, I love their wine. I've only been to their tasting room, but they're opening this up to a new experience in their winery, and they're going to walk us through their process.
Wow.
And my friend Sonia McDesky has Clementine Carter, and Sonia is just, I mean, she's an amazing person. I adore her. We became friends years ago. And so she's going to take us through a vineyard tour as well as some wine tasting at her winery as well.
That's fantastic. How many days is this? Like 9 days?
Yeah. I mean, it's 4 tastings over 3 days. So it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then what I did was I proposed this idea to the 4 winemakers up there and the 4 winemakers in Willamette. And it's basically a cross promotion collaboration where each region is promoting the other region's trip. So they're all benefiting from that promotion.
We call that the sister city approach, where you get, you have the same fans, but you're in different cities. And so you endorse those people over there and they endorse you over here, and you end up crossbreeding these beautiful fans of wine. It's a great idea.
That's exactly what we're looking to do. And so much of wine, now is people wanting the experience. It's not just about, taking a bottle off a shelf and trying it. It's really getting in and learning more about the process and the people behind it. And once you do that, you really have a connection. And then you have a story to tell.
Yeah.
And you have a story to share. And a bottle of wine you can share in a year or 5 years or whatever it is. And it just brings back that whole experience.
Oh, I think it's fabulous that you did it that way. It's amazing.
One of the things that we're doing at both locations is we're going to be doing a winemaker dinner with all 4 winemakers, and they're going to be pairing their wines with the chef at each restaurant, one in Willamette, one in Santa Ynez. And from what they've told me, they've never heard of this before. They're super excited about this whole collaboration between the 4 winemakers and the chef.
I have never heard of anything like that before.
It's going to be pretty special. It's going to be really special. I'm very excited by it.
Yeah, that's great. Did you dream that one up?
Yep.
Well, it's a great idea.
It's just like, hey, how can we make this really interesting? I'm like, oh, let's do this. And I'm like, that's great. Let's do it.
Well, I love that you're almost doing sort of an arts and crafts thing along the way. Oh, let's tour the whole property. Let's blend our own wines, and then bringing the 4 together is just really great, because so many winemakers, they get to know each other and their associations and everything, but they're a lot like restaurant chefs. They are in their silos and they don't really get out to get to meet and hang out with and, be in a community effort. And having them do that kind of a dinner is fantastic. I've never even thought of anything like that before. It's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing is that what I've experienced is that through all these winemakers, they just have this sort of same mentality that a rising tide lifts all boats, and they all want to see each other succeed. There's no competition or animosity or anything like that. They're very collaborative in nature, and it's such a refreshing thing, especially coming out of show business where it's not.
Yeah, a little more competitive.
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit more. So when you are doing this tour, are you also making hotel available, like saying, okay, well, this is what we recommend for hotels for the stay, that kind of thing?
Yeah. So basically the entire package includes all of the tasting events, the winemaker dinner, the lunches along the way at all the different venues that we're going to be at, and the transportation to and from all the events. So there are 2 hotels that we recommend in Santa Ynez. They're very different in price points, but also both lovely, lovely places. One is the Fest Parker Inn.
Oh, yes. Love it.
Which is right in Los Olivos. And then the other is the Lansby, which is in Solvang, which is a really, really nice, smaller boutique hotel that I've stayed at a number of times. And they're just lovely. And being in Solvang, so you can just wander around Solvang for, hours.
Yeah, no kidding. I love that. Where do they have the ghetto, the wine ghetto? Is that outside of Solvang? Have you heard of that? It's like coming up wineries, and they have they're almost like in garages. This huge, they call it the wine ghetto.
I don't know that there's a place up in Paso called Tin City, which is similar to what you're explaining, but I don't know. I have to find out about that.
Yeah, I have to remember what town that was in because anyway, it was very interesting. Kind of went from place to place to place to place. It was almost like being at a wine tasting festival, except that you were just right in like little garage spaces right next to each other. It was kind of interesting. But at any rate, getting back to your thing. So this thing happens on, you said, what are the dates again? November?
November 4th through the 7th. So it's
Okay.
starts on a Tuesday and ends on a Friday.
Okay. So you basically say, okay, find your way there and meet us at this particular point at this particular time, and off we go.
Yeah, there are discounts through the Lansby, which I can give people if they contact me through my website,
Okay.
which is a secondpour.com. They're all offering discounts. The Lansby is offering discounts. The FS Parker doesn't. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a different vibe there.
Well, they don't have to.
That's
I've stayed at the best Parker. All right. So that's really awesome. And how many people is an ideal group of people for this kind of travel?
I've intentionally limited it to 8.
Oh, wow.
I really want it to be intimate, and I want people to really get the experience, without it being diluted by, a bunch of other people, and want everybody to be able to feel like they've asked their questions, they've had their questions answered, and they've experienced it to the fullest.
And so on the website, a secondpour.com, right? And they actually register and purchase at that point, or how do they actually?
It's all there. Yep.
Okay.
All the information, the itinerary's there. We're starting at 11:30 every day. So it'll be 2 different tastings, and then it'll all end on that Thursday night at Nella, which is a beautiful restaurant in Los Olivos with the winemaker dinner.
Oh my gosh, it sounds so amazing. I just want to go right now.
So
Okay,
do I.
Right. And you don't have another one until when, the spring?
Yeah. So the Willamette one is going to be end of April.
Okay.
So, the itinerary is pretty much done, but we're still working on some of the fine points of that.
Okay.
We're still a little bit ways out on that.
Have you decided on which winemakers you're going there?
Oh, yeah. The winemakers are set. So the winemakers in Willamette are Antica Terra, which is amazing. Audiant, which is also, I've been to all of them, and Dominio 4 and Soder are the 4 wineries up there.
Yeah.
And
Soder has these summer parties. I don't know if you've ever been where the members have this membership party and there must be 600 people there.
I have not been to that, but I'm aware of it, and I'm aware of. They're a bigger operation than the other runs.
True. Most of Willamette has been these boutique mom and pop shops, and then now they're beginning to expand, and some of them are getting some help from investors and that kind of thing. But Soder is one of the largest ones up there, and boy, their wine is fantastic. But I know 3 of the 4 that you've mentioned, and I will heartily say that you chose some fantastic wineries. So that's not until April. So folks, if you want to go do something like this before, it's going to be perfect weather in November. If you wanted to do something like this, you've got like 2 weeks now before you go, and it's a perfect thing to do. These are the kinds of things that I love to promote to my listeners when you're talking birthday gifts, anniversary gifts, wedding gifts, even an early holiday gift. These are people want experiences. They don't want socks anymore. They don't want, another new watch. They want to have an experience of something that they love.
I think those are all great ideas, and I support everything you just said.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear it. Now, I want to go back to, first I have to say we've been chatting a little bit. So I have to say that this is Diane Armitage at KXFM 104.7. And I hope that you folks are enjoying this conversation I'm having with John, who is clearly you are a meticulous planner because you've worked your way through the Hollywood system at the highest levels and rankings of that, and you've managed to make all of that work for you, and now you're moving into this new trajectory of doing these wine events. And I want to talk about the documentary that you were planning to do that you're still working on, and female winemakers. Now, how did you get that idea?
Strangely enough, the idea initially came from a trip to San Miguel de Allende in Mexico. And we went to the tasting room for Casa Dragones tequila. And the person at the tasting room was telling us the whole story about Bertha Gonzalez Nieves and how she was the first female tequila master and how she started this brand. And I fell in love with the town. And I was like, how can I do a show here that'll bring me back here? And I
Hmm.
thought, oh, I could do a documentary about her and this town. And as I started doing more research about her, I was like, oh no, this goes way beyond just one person. And so I just started talking to people, and one thing led to another. And before I knew it, I had over 40 amazing women that have committed to wanting to be involved in the show if the show was lucky enough to find a home for it.
Right.
And they're all different makers. Some of them are distillers, and some of them are winemakers. Some of them are based in Champagne, and some are in North America. But the commonality was that they're just really, really lovely people, and they love what they do, and they're passionate about it. And I felt like this is a great way to shine a light on who they are and what they do.
Spotlighting women, you don't really think of women being the winemakers or being the leaders of that particular winemaking experience. And they really are coming up in number. And the talent is so extreme. I mean, it's just incredible. So what made you focus on women instead of men?
I mean, it just, like I said, started with Bertha Gonzalez and Nevis and her story. And it's just, I pulled the string, and then the string just kept unraveling. It was like I talked to one person, and I talked to another person. They introduced me to, and before I knew it, like I said, I had 40 people that were like, this is great. I want to be involved in this because I feel it's important to do this.
Right.
And a number of them were very, very upfront and said, please don't make this a condescending show about, oh, the nice little girls are doing this. It's like, no, no,
Right.
no. I absolutely do not want that to be this. This is all about showing the hard work, the determination, all the challenges that because everybody's had similar challenges of launching their brand and just keeping things afloat. So those are the stories that interest me the most. And that's sort of where it ended up, really.
Now, have you gotten anywhere on a pilot, the actual pilot show?
No, not yet. I'm trying to find the right home for it,
Hmm.
and there are a couple things that are sort of in play right now that could be a nice companion piece for, which
Hmm.
is sort of what I modeled this after, was as a companion piece to a scripted show, where you would take two people from a scripted show, the actors from a scripted show, and have them explore this world. So
Okay, got it.
the example would be, there's a very popular show called Outlander, and the two guys from Outlander did this amazing show called Men in Kilts. And that was basically the show. It was like the two guys from Outlander went and did a travel show. And in season one, they went to Scotland. And in season two, they went to New Zealand. And it was like the perfect hybrid of a show. And it was like, this is a business model that we should be exploring more in the business, where you have a built-in audience, and it serves as a bridge in between seasons of the scripted show and the unscripted show.
What a great idea. You are so good at this. I mean, it reminds me, I had a niece who was on The Bachelor, and initially they had to get new people in, but then they just began to use the person who took second or third place and put them in for The Bachelorette in the next season, and that kind of thing, because they're building up these large audiences and they've already got big visibility. And and when you are able to use those people and put them into something that is the off season between the actual season show that they're doing, I think that that's just phenomenal. That's phenomenal.
That's what I've been preaching.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, you're quite creative. I'm very impressed with that. So you
Thank you.
so this would actually be like not Netflix necessarily, but it would be a series that you would have on streaming,
Yes.
right? So it wouldn't be a movie. It would be a streaming
No.
episodes.
We would go to different places and meet different people and explore and learn about the trials and tribulations, and what's exciting and what to do and all that stuff,
Sounds like
seen through the eyes of two female hosts. I mean, all those travelogue shows are amazing. They're all hosted by one person,
Mhm.
but you can point to any one of them and say, that's an amazing show. I love that show. But this show, to me, is more about the personalities and the banter and the different perspectives. And that's
Right.
what Men in Kilts is really about. It's just they have two guys that are just play off one another, and they have different perspectives and different fears and likes. And so that, to me, was the thing that was really compelling about this.
So are you sure you can't use Ruben and me? I mean, people like us.
That is absolutely true, and you do know a ton of people between the two of you.
I mean, we may not have hundreds of thousands of followers. It just sounds like so much fun. That's exactly what I love to do. I love to go meet the people, find out about the town, find out what they love about the town, and all of that, but understand their craft and their art, because it's just such a passion play. It's just such a passion. And, I guess I've been more focused on chefs and that kind of a world. And you've been focusing on the winemakers, but it was really fun chatting with you about this initially several months ago about female winemakers. And I gave you a few names for women in
Yep.
Willamette, because it's like you said, as soon as you mention it, someone says, well, have you thought about so and so and so and so? And there's some extremely amazing, great, talented women in Willamette Valley. And I only say that because I've spent more time there than I have in any of the other places, so to speak. And I think it's going to be really interesting for you when you're working with distillery people and you're working with people in Mexico versus Champagne versus the United States versus Canada or whatever, just even the regional differences that are going to come up through and infuse the script of that, the unscripted script. It's just going to be fantastic. When are you going to get on that, John?
I mean, I got to find the right home for it, and that hasn't happened yet. But
So, okay, just as an off note, how do you find the right home for something? I mean, when you're
that's the challenge with the business right now because they're making less. Everybody's cut back, so it's really they want more elements going in. So it would be finding the two hostesses, whatever, to take us through the journey. But the idea really is to find that scripted show with two females in it. The first two things that came to mind to me were Hacks, because Jean Smart and Hannah Einbinder are hilarious, and I would watch them, basically on a soundstage with a light on them, just to hear them talk and banter. And the other show was Ted Lasso and Hannah Waddingham and Juno Temple. To me, the two of them, you could do the same thing with them. I mean, they're just hilarious and funny and smart and cool. So it's finding that next show, whatever that next show is. And I may have to create one. I don't know. That's in the works too, by the way, but that's a conversation for another day.
So when you are doing your Hollywood world and you're doing the talent agency world and you're doing the wine world, what percentage of your week is of each right now?
I would say, representing my clients is a constant, it changes week to week based on the client and what's happening in the business. It's so cyclical. So I would say probably 30 to 40% of my week is spent dealing with entertainment stuff. And then I would say another 30 to 40% is probably dealing with the wine stuff. And then there's some stuff that I do on the side that, fills the balance of that.
Other people on the side. Yeah, I got it. That's awesome. And so when you were actually going out at the age of 50 to first get into the wine tasting experience, had you collected much wine at that point? Or were you really
I knew a
ignited from
little
that
bit
point
about it, but I was probably one of those people. You walk into a store and grab a bottle off the shelf because the label looks interesting or whatever. And you try something, you like it, like, okay, that's cool.
and
But
you stick with it?
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, there's definitely brand loyalty, but once I made that connection and got to really understand everything behind the bottle, it just made it that much more interesting and appealing to me. And they all have their challenges. I mean, all these winemakers, for the most part, they have to run a business. They have to know how to farm. They have to make the wine. They have to know how to market the wine. I mean, it really is a lot of different skill sets that they need to do well in order for them to do well.
Yeah, indeed, it's true. It's a lot. It's a lot. And you always hear the stories of those people who have retired well and they've decided that they're going to go buy a vineyard and wow, it's quite a wake up call. Now, in most cases, they've done their research and they know that they've got to hire in the people who have the experience running the vineyard and helping them get everything up and running. But it's such an interesting story to even talk with them about why they decided to make the move and how they're still staying in it, because it is challenging. It's extremely challenging.
It's incredibly challenging. And every year there's something new. I mean, right now harvest is going on and everybody's dealing with different harvest issues, whether there's rain or the timing is so crucial to the success of what they're going to put in the bottle that people may not drink for 2 years down the road or even longer.
Right, exactly.
And they're dealing with all these different challenges. And I feel for them all. I know that their passion is there and they love what they do and they wouldn't want to do anything else. But to see them when they're struggling at the most difficult time, it's hard not to really, really feel for them.
Well, and even seeing the fires that have gone through Napa, those kinds of, I mean, it's just unbelievable. It happened up in Willamette Valley as well. And it just is so devastating because that's an entire year's worth of wine gone. I had gone up there for about a year because I was working things out with mom and figuring out what to do with mom and all that kind of thing, renovating a house and stuff. I had actually just come back here when they were beginning to do the harvest. And I think that was in 23. And they had a freak storm and they only had a little bit of warning before the freak storm came in with a lot of rain. And so they had had a really warm October. And in Willamette Valley, they try to keep the grapes on the vine as long as they can, up
Yep.
to the minute that it's going to start
Oh, yeah.
raining. And so they had this freak thing come in and they actually were calling wine members and saying, "Hey, come out and help us harvest this wine, these grapes. We've got to move fast." And it was just like in 2 days, they had to get everything put together and make it all happen to try to salvage as many grapes as possible before the rains hit. No matter how much you try to plan for what's going to be happening with your harvest, all kinds of things come up that just skew it and you have to jump in fast. And like you
Oh, yeah.
said, the great thing about they're not competitive, they're very cooperative. And so if they're able to finish up theirs, they'll send all their people over or they'll go over and help another winemaker, do their harvest. So it's really an amazing system. It's like the old farming system, but it's now this new farming system, so to speak. And that
It's,
alone has so many stories in it. It's just incredible.
yeah. I mean, you spoke to the collaboration thing, and that's really what it is. They know that their neighbor needs the help. They're going to get out there and help them.
Yeah.
Wine club members who've been loyal for years, it's like, I don't want to see you lose your business over something that could be catastrophic like this. So we'll do what we can to help you. I mean, that's really at the end of the day, that's what really has gotten me so excited about sharing this with people and doing it in a way where if you're the kind of person that you don't want to have to think about and constructing an itinerary and dealing with all the minute details, this is for you. All you got to do is show up on day one, everything is taken care of, and you leave on day four, and you've had 4 great experiences plus an amazing wine dinner.
Well,
So
and
it's
lunches
really,
and dinners. You're
yes,
you're leaving fat and happy. I have friends who call me when they want to go up to Willamette because they want to know where to go because there's so many. And having you procure and choose and say, we've tried many, many, and these are, some of the top of the crop, not just because the wine is so incredible, but because the story is so incredible. And
yeah.
that's really where people want to have that connection with the winemakers. And I think that that's just brilliant what you're doing. And I can't wait to hear about New York. When you go out to New York, are you in Upper New York or where is it that you're doing the wine tour there?
So this won't be a wine tour. It's gonna be a winemaker dinner.
Oh,
So I'm
okay.
working
Okay.
with restaurant. There's a winemaker dinner that I did here at a restaurant called Manuela in downtown LA, and they opened one in New York a few months ago. And the wine director there heard about the dinner here, and she's like, "I would love to do something here like that." And I'm like, "Done."
Yeah,
So
that's
we're
fantastic.
working on formulating that plan, and they also have a sister restaurant in DC that we may tie them together and over the course of a few days.
It sounds great. So when you do these wine dinners, the chef in place creates the prefix menu for the most part,
Yep.
and then the winemaker comes in and does a, pairing with all of that. Is that how it works?
So once we decide on the restaurant and the winemaker, then the chef and the winemaker have a conversation and talk about what the wines are. The chef tastes the wines and then have a further conversation about the pairings.
Mm.
And then the pairing, it's all set. The menu's already set. The wines are set. The price is set by the restaurant. And then it's a ticketed event. And we keep them really small to like 20, 25 people at the
Oh,
max.
really?
Because again, we want that intimacy factor where everybody really gets time with the winemaker and really gets a chance to really, explore and learn about it all.
Well,
Uh,
and I like the distinction you made about the fact that the winemaker brings the wine into the chef. They sit down and have a tasting. Then the chef decides what the menu is going to be because that's really cool. Because anything that is brought in and put on the chef's table is going to sway what the chef puts together for the menu item. And that alone is an interesting story because if a different winemaker were to come in, that chef would not be doing the same prefix plated combination.
exactly.
And that's where the real creativity of two different worlds comes together and just makes it so cool. And the winemaker story is always cool. And it's great to be able to have that kind of Q&A where, like you said, you keep it intimate and it's just great. I mean, I love wine dinners. I could go to a wine dinner every single week if I could find one. So I'll be going to yours.
Well, I'll be letting you know.
Okay.
Fortunately, the winemaker dinners that we've had have been all with really engaging women with personality and been able to hold a room, and they all had their own spin on how the dinner was going to work. But everybody walked away from those events feeling like they definitely got their money's worth. The food was always great, and the wine was great. The experience, it's just, it's one of those things where you won't be able to replicate it.
Exactly. Right.
Wine's going to change, the food's going to change.
It's a once in a life experience. I mean, it really is. And that's what's so cool about it. So you're thinking, you haven't set these up completely, but you're thinking November, maybe at the end of November, you'll have something.
For
Solana Beach? Or is that?
the Solana Beach is going to be probably in the spring.
Okay.
They're building out an event space down there, and that's going to take some time.
Okay. Well, all interesting. And I know as soon as you have the dinners put together, that makes for something else that people can find on your website. Yep. And that they can buy as a holiday gift. Yep. So, if you don't want to do the whole tour for 4 days, you've got these beautiful dinners to do. And I think that's fantastic. And the more that you can actually have on the website in advance of the holidays, the better. So get on that, John.
Done. Duly noted. So the other thing I was going to say was I'm also available to help curate experiences for people that just want to do something by themselves. So I can handle private requests. If people say, I want to go here, I can help craft an itinerary and all that for them as well.
Oh, that's awesome. Is that also on your website?
Not yet.
Oh, okay.
But it's something we've talked about and something that I feel very comfortable that we can do.
Right. Sort of like a private concierge.
Yep.
Yeah. Just put it all together for them. Boy, I think that is fantastic. I don't know if you're going to have a lot of time to be making movies.
Hey, you know what? There's worse things. If this takes off and people are happy, I mean, I'm in my element with all this, so I'm good.
Exactly. Well, I'm going to stay on you about that documentary, though. That reality series, so to speak, because I just think it's a phenomenal idea. And my goodness, the stories that'll come from that are just incredible. And then you can write a book. Then you can put a book together.
Oh my God. All right. I have to think about that a little bit later. That'll be a 2027 thing.
Okay. So now you said that you had a surprise announcement for my Best of Laguna listeners, and you didn't really detail what that is.
So all 4 wineries in Santa Ynez have offered a 20% discount code to all the listeners of this pod. So that is Artiste, Clementine Carter, Carhartt, and Dragonette. And the coupon code is second pour and the number 20. Second pour 20.
And it's
so
20%.
If you go 20% off.
For anything in their online store?
For online sales.
Online sales. That is really, really cool.
It's a limited time. I don't know exactly how long they're going to be, keeping it up, but it'll be definitely through the next, I think 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay, that's perfect. That's perfect. And I think it should be a limited time because we don't want these people lounging around. But I mean, you've already chosen, like I said, you've chosen 4 of your favorites in the Valley. And for you to say, I'm putting my name behind this, I'm putting a tour together for this, these are phenomenal wines. And for them to offer that, that's a great way for people down here in Laguna Beach to start to get to know these people. If they don't go on the tour, it's a great way for them to get to know these people.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it.
And there'll be more, hopefully.
No, that is really a really cool idea. And I want to bring you back on a regular basis, of course, because as you start doing more of these in the spring, I know that people are going to be interested in, and hopefully, as you put Willamette together or whatever the next one is, it will be enough in advance that they can even go in a couple months in advance on your website and make sure that they're one of the lucky 8.
Yeah.
I think that is fantastic. Okay. Well, believe it or not, we've almost talked for an hour.
Oh my God. That went by so fast.
Well, I know. Well, it's so much fun chatting about this. I absolutely love it. Okay. So secondpour.com is the website.
Yep.
And then we have a 20% special coupon. And so I will be putting that out in the replay only email. And I really appreciate that. That's a huge gift. Very much looking forward to hearing more about Artiste coming down here for LCAD. It's Artiste that's working with LCAD with you, right?
Correct.
Okay. That's going to be a really interesting story because we want to get those artists involved in, it's part of a Laguna Beach thing to begin with.
Definitely.
And to really start getting them engaged in the business of art is phenomenal. I love what you guys are doing at LCAD. That's great.
Yeah, they've been so amazingly supportive of the idea. They took to it immediately. We've navigated through some things that we didn't foresee, but all the kinks have been worked out. Everybody's on board. The students are really excited. We anticipate the parents being really excited that they'll be buying a lot of wine with their kids' artwork on the labels.
Yeah, they could be buying those for Christmas gifts and sending them out. What a great idea. And then are you going to actually be teaching a class there as well, or like doing a symposium or a workshop or something where the students get some information from Bion about the business?
Well, they will have direct contact with Diane about, the whole process and the collaboration. So that will be, part of it.
So almost a mentor.
Yeah.
Wow, that is phenomenal. What a great idea. What a great idea. Okay. Well, John, I just absolutely love your creativity. I am so glad that I got to meet you because the moment I met you and we talked for 5 minutes, I knew that this was a person I wanted to stay in contact with because you really just have so many creative ideas and the service that you're providing to people to get them more interested in and engaged in the wine world that they love is phenomenal. I'm really
Well,
impressed.
thank you so much. It was an absolute pleasure meeting you. We've had great times together and the times we've been together. And I really am grateful for this opportunity and your support.
No worries at all. And I definitely am going to be planning for the Willamette trip. So that may be one person on your list because why not go try out all of the wine places that you love? I think it's phenomenal. So, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. It's Diane Armitage with KXFM Radio 104.7. Let me tell you again that this is also on permanent podcast platform, and it's also going to be in the new YouTube channel for Best of Laguna Beach, which is going to be expanding. The brand is actually expanding in the near future, but I'll fill you in on all of that later. And again, the replay is coming up on Tuesday. So that's actually happening tomorrow because I want to make sure that you have time to get in and register for this trip. And I want you to be able to get that coupon code rolling for the wines as well. Very, very generous of you and all of the winemakers up there. And John, we're going to look forward to having you back in soon. Really appreciate this.
I cannot wait.
Thank you so much, guys. Okay, folks, we're signing off now. Make it a great week, and we will see and hear you next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.